What is Gearlance? The Gearlance marketplace aims to consolidate the highly fragmented photo, video, audio rental industry and individuals with an easy-to-use, seamlessly integrated e-commerce solution. Businesses benefit from our collective marketplace's ability to increase revenue without the added IT investment, and peers can choose to rent their own gear while always having greater access to the nation's largest inventory offering. The Gearlance platform and user community is a rental resource for the enthusiast, semi-pro, and professional gearheads. We've learned that including existing rental shops best serves the haves and needs of both equipment owners and renters. Gearlance delivers value through an integrated web platform that combines the functionality of traditional B2C e-commerce with the community of today's socially interactive P2P consumer habits. Gearlance bypasses the difficulty of creating a two-sided marketplace by inserting itself between an existing offline market, thus inheriting each rental shop's existing customer base. We then grow that base with paid and organic search. The ability to provide a comprehensive user experience for both sides is paramount to churn management. Currently, the relatively few online gear rental sites are generating over $100 million per year with continued double-digit top-line growth. Gearlance's ability to consolidate the rental volume from hundreds of on- and offline rental shops enables us to become an immediate industry player. The Gearlance team includes experienced business operators, web developers, and hustling marketers. This enables us to build the platform quickly and deliver our value proposition without incurring material costs. Through interviews, we've learned that a pure P2P market is unsustainable, and that not only are rental shops eager to join, but that they are also vital to our success. The most important next step is to continue to validate our key partner interest. With validation, we can execute platform development and commence marketing to generate transaction volume. When you add all the costs for the thousands of emails sent, the landing pages built, the interviews, designing the platform wireframes, getting key partners on board, and developing the prototype, Gearlance has spent a total of $0. Going forward, the assumed cost structure will be heavily weighted towards customer acquisition and platform development and support. After 7 weeks, this is where Gearlance is today. Let's meet the team and learn more about the hypothesis, experiments, results, and data that move Gearlance from a pure user-driven P2P concept to a key partner-backed potential market leader.
My name is Dave Chung. I've been working in the film and video industry and production for over a decade. I've also launched a bootstrapped online startup, and I've been working in the online video space for the past 6 years.
My name is Chris Peterson. I've been doing front-end and back-end development for 5 years. I am the lead developer for the Gearlance app, and I'm a lover of technology.
My name is Duke Best, and with 20 years of accounting, finance, and consulting experience, I bring the business side to the Gearlance project, so I'm one responsible for driving the operations. When we entered the Lean Startup Challenge, we had an avatar in mind, Dave. Dave is a professional photographer and videographer who owns a lot of equipment. Yet Dave still finds himself going to the rental shop to rent even more equipment. Now Dave knows that there's got to be other guys like him that own equipment and go to the rental shops, and between them there had to be a better solution. What Gearlance wanted to do was create a peer-to-peer platform that eliminated the rental shop and let each gear owner trade gear back and forth from each other. Our value proposition was that the owners could earn extra money on gear that they already own, renters could then save up to 50% versus going to the rental shop, and between the team we could develop a hassle-free payment, insurance, and shipping system that would enable the peer-to-peer platform to go forward. My assumptions coming into this, purely looking from the business side, is that, kind of trust in the gut. There's a lot of Daves out there. I'm sure there's got to be. There's plenty of people that are willing to rent from other people as well as rent their own equipment to other people.
I think if we build an easy-to-use peer-to-peer platform, users would feel comfortable just renting out their gear.
My biggest assumptions going into this is that there's got to be a lot of people just like me, that it should be easy to find them, and of course they want to make money on gear that they're not using.
Our first assumption that there's a lot of Daves out there and they want a better rental experience. We tested this with an experiment to send out a survey and ask what their interest level was. Well, not surprisingly, the results we received were directionally supportive. And as we've learned through the challenge, surveys are not always the best way to get your data because you have some biased feedback. And what we learned is we needed to get out of the building. So we modified our assumption. We decided, well, let's go reach, a wide array of casual camera gear owners and see if they're interested in a P2P platform. Collectively, we sent over 1,000 emails individually to each of these camera gear owners, pitching them with the idea of Gearlance, the peer-to-peer platform, and asking them to come visit our landing pages. From all of the feedback we received from the emails themselves, from the A/B page and the conversions, it didn't really validate that they were looking for this type of solution. And most of our feedback was those users were simply just looking to sell their equipment. Thus, we needed to dig deeper. We realized we needed to tighten our assumption from the general camera owner to hobbyists and enthusiasts. We wanted to reach out and target them to see if they were going to rent their gear. Our experiment was going to the online discussion boards and setting up phone interviews with real enthusiasts. We had a lot of phone interviews, and we found that people really liked the premise. They already rent gear, and they even buy and sell used gear, just like we saw on Craigslist, and above all, they really didn't like paying a high transaction fee. They did have a couple of concerns. One, insurance. What would happen if something broke? What would happen if something got stolen? And two, the shipping component. Was there going to be protective packaging provided? Was this really going to be worth the cost and time it took to ship, send, receive the gear? And overall, they wondered if this was just a low-frequency, low-pain problem. We still had not found a morphine pain. We needed to dig deeper. We knew we had to tighten our scope even further. We moved up from the hobbyists and the enthusiasts to reach out to professionals, people who made their living based on the gear that they owned. Our findings highlighted three things. One, the professionals were interested and they liked the premise. They also had concerns about the insurance and shipping that we heard before, but they brought up a good point. They were very willing to rent gear from people, but they're very hesitant to rent out their own gear to other people. We now had a dilemma. We only have one side of a two-sided marketplace, and as we know, you can't have all takers and no givers. We then came to an assumption that we really ignored from the very beginning, that rental shops would be interested in the Gearlance solution. We experimented by sending out over 24 invitations and inviting those rental shops to come visit our landing page. The findings shocked us. Not only were rental companies eager to get on the Gearlance platform, they wanted to know exactly how soon could we start. We wanted to know why. Well, these rental shops have been in business for decades and have wanted to get online, they just haven't had the right vertical to do it. Not only that, they were seeing new sites pop up online and to be online-only stores that were eating away at their business. Collectively, they've realized that if they could all come on board a Gearlance platform, they would dwarf the online competition. In conclusion, we had found our morphine pain. We had found key partners and potentially mentors. We were now off to the races. The team got together and we started developing our prototype wireframe. From the wireframe, we coded out a quick prototype so we could show some of these early key partners potentially what a solution would look like. At the end of this process, or where we're at now, is we're realizing that the Gearlance platform is not a mutually exclusive P2P or B2C, but it's actually a hybrid of both. When you look back at our first canvas and see our assumptions, you realize that we could not have arrived where we're at today without setting up a bunch of hypotheses, testing those hypotheses, and then using that data to make decisions about where we go forward. And where are we going forward? Well, based on where we're at now, we think we're ready to get these key partners signed up, build an MVP, and start going to market and generating revenue.
The biggest lesson learned is the constant barrage of interviews. You have to always be talking and getting that voice of your consumer, and then let their demand, pull you through the rest of the canvas.
Throughout this challenge, I learned that you could pretty much do all this without spending any money.
I think the biggest lesson learned is that you really got to go out there and do your research. It makes no sense, and especially in our case, to build a peer-to-peer platform if nobody was going to be transacting on it. So those interviews, all that research that we did really helped validate and steer us in the right direction.
Next steps now, now that we've honed into our customer segment, is to really just start marketing, to develop that transaction revenue that's really going to support the business going forward.
Taking the lessons learned from our prototype and building out our MVP.
I think the next steps really are to get more rental shops on board so that when we do launch, we have a number of launch partners and really have a robust inventory to really get people excited.
The biggest assumptions I had coming into this that were proven through our interviews to be untrue really were two things. That insurance would be easy and cheap to find, and two, that the rental shops would not be interested at all in our platform.
The biggest assumption that we proved to be untrue was that there were thousands of people just like me that were willing to rent out their gear. Turned out that wasn't the case. The other thing was that I didn't think the rental shops would really be on board. I thought they would view us as a threat, and that just wasn't the case.
Without the lean startup process, we would have pursued a P2P only marketplace that we now know would have likely failed. Experiments and the resulting data helped us evolve our assumptions and find those with the morphine pain. With these validations, we are prepared to create a sustainable marketplace, providing value to businesses as well as individual consumers. Gearlance, putting your gear to work.